With every terrorist attack on EU soil and more reports emerging of European Muslims being recruited to fight in Syria, Islamophobia in Europe is on the rise, and European leaders are being pressed to address the question of Islamization in Europe, no less due to a rise in popularity of anti-immigrant far-right political parties. But they also face the challenge of promoting European values of tolerance while cracking down on radical Islam. European intelligence services working around the clock to prevent terrorist activity have foiled an increasing number of internally organized attacks by Muslims of European origin. Most recently, German authorities uncovered a plan by two Tunisian German men to use remote-controlled planes to drop explosives. Earlier this year, two soldiers were stabbed in London and Paris in attacks carried out by European Muslims too. The highly talked about incidents have led to a rise in retaliatory attacks on people and places like mosques and increasing support for nationalist parties like Britain's EDL and Vlaams in Belgium. Though Tanko Muhammada from the European Muslim Network says he's observed a strong media focus on attacks carried out by Muslim extremists, indicating that Europe may have found a new scapegoat after communists were the enemy after the wars.
Before September 11, and even before the Second World War, all the focus was on communism, a lot on communism.
In Belgium, Islamophobia has become especially prominent due to high local crime rates in immigrant communities from which young people are radicalized and sent to fight in Syria, which is why Islamic communities in Europe are facing calls to self-monitor, a plan that's raised some skepticism.
It is very difficult for the Muslim community itself to self-regulate itself. It's like you're asking banks to self-regulate themselves. It doesn't work. Asking them to do this is a problem. Of course, you have to encourage people in these communities who want to have freedom and so on. But you cannot ask them to do this because you put these people in danger.
Though a global crackdown on Islamic extremism was triggered after the 9/11 attacks in the U.S., the recent Syrian crisis has awoken a realization in Europe about homegrown radicalization and potential security threats. A renewed crackdown will mean increasing pressure on Europe's Islamic communities and mosques to commit to greater transparency in order to identify groups that may be led astray. Sandra Gottman for JN1 in Brussels.